two daddies, and you're listening to Slurmcast, a podcast for no reason. Today we'll be discussing Season 6, Episode 4, Proposition Infinity. My name is Michelle Burlingame. With me, as always, are Tommy Roulette.
How's it going?
Pete Woodward.
That's me.
And our guest today is bad boy filmmaker Jeffrey Lange.
Hey there.
She didn't tell me you worked with Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy?
Is that
Bad Boy Records?
That's
No.
how I remember him. Back in the day, I don't even know what he's called anymore.
What year was that, Pete?
1990 something.
Okay. I was going to make a
yeah.
Pete is old joke, but...
You were in single digits. It's fine. I was an adult and you were like in grade school. It's a reality I've come to live with these days. Thanks for coming on the show, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Was my enthusiasm not there? Let me bring it.
You're probably a much better actor than I am. We said this on the bonus episode last week, but we were all set to go, and then Tuesday morning, me and our guest and Michelle all got like the same horrible coughing virus, and I'm probably the only one that still has it. Like I've been hacking up since then.
I'm still coughing every once in a while, but my throat was really the issue. Was I lost my voice completely.
Yeah, in like 3 hours it just went.
Yeah, I was giving a training at work, and it was on the phone. And I just, it felt like all of a sudden I just, like, my vocal cords just seized up, and I put my phone on mute, and I thought that I was going to hack up my lungs for a few minutes, and people were asking me questions, but, like, I was coughing and I was muted, so they didn't know why suddenly I just, like, went silent.
It's like, fuck you. You're dumb. You should know that already.
Well, I'm happy to be in a small room with both of you. Just so
I'm
we're
fine.
this.
I don't think I'm
been
contagious
fine.
anymore.
I just don't touch anything, or...
Well, we were practicing this weekend. Our drummer was in town.
Mm-hmm.
And the practice space was easily like 110
I'm sure.
degrees.
Gross.
And so, it was so gross. It was just like the sweat was literally just dripping off of us the entire time we were in the room. But I think that burned out the bulk of the virus, but it moved from like my head into my throat and chest now. So I'll be eating these Ricola lozenges while we record. So if you hear little sucking noises, I'm doing a good Jerry Lewis impression. And that's really what I'm working on. So I think, and I've probably said this before, I just can't remember since it's been so long since we've recorded a regular episode. The Jumbotron is officially down to nothing. I think it's short intro sequences, and this is going to be it for the rest of the thing. Okay.
I believe so.
Someday I'll stop even noting it in my notes. But
Just got to take it out. No more weirdo cartoons.
I mean, the thing is, it took like 80 episodes for autocorrect to recognize Jumbotron, and now that I can spell it out normally and it'll autocorrect to the right thing, like I kind of just want to keep doing it to prove to Tim Cook or Steve Jobs that I'm right. That hovercopter crashed, like reporting on itself.
I've just learned that my last words were back to you. I hated Jim.
Oh, that was so good with Morbo. I mean, and it's as Futurama is so freakishly predictive of the actual things. I mean, just in the last week, there's a thing where the newsroom got shot up by a lunatic, where they were like reporting on their own massacre as it was happening.
Nuts.
Which is terrifying.
Crazy. I was actually I decided to join the incident response training team at work.
What
so
is
I was
that?
I was in a meeting. It's like what happens if something happens in the building, like a fire or there's some sort of inclement weather, and it's like the people who have like the bright vests on that will lead you outdoors, lead you to the shelter areas or whatever, and
So
it's
you're
like
an emergency crossing guard.
Inclement sounds like a mild word for that. Inclement weather.
like if there's a tornado and we need to take shelter
like
in
I
the
said,
middle of the
inclement, a little
building,
mild,
like
maybe.
yeah. Any
Do you
sort
get
of
to blow some
disaster
kind of a
or
siren?
emergency, I have a whistle and a brightly colored vest and glow sticks.
You're loving this.
But I was in,
loving this.
yeah, you know I am. I was in that meeting, like getting my training on being an incident response team member when they were like, oh, this is the kind of thing that you have to prepare for, the thing that's happening right now where some dude is shooting up his workplace.
Oh my God. If you sever employment with them or they sever employment with you, do you get to keep all of those things?
I mean,
Like when you have to clear out your desk, whether by choice or not, can you just like tuck that stuff under? Or are they
Why
gonna
would you
send
want
a
it
bill?
back?
I don't know. Does
Or why would you want
Michelle
to
Glow
over her
sticks,
whistle?
a whistle, and a sweet reflective vest. You could take the reflective vest and then sneak into like events and be like a security.
I didn't even think about that.
So that would be a net positive.
I mean, if it was my choice to leave the building, I probably could. But if for some reason, knock on wood, I lose my
GTFO.
job, then no, because they don't let you go back to your desk. You get
what?
walked out.
You get escorted out.
You
Yeah.
what about all your personal effects?
They box it up and send it to you in the mail.
No way.
Yeah,
That is
most of the
crazy. That's
time, yeah.
intense.
I mean, that's
it's a bank. Like, what are you gonna do? Fire somebody and then let them go back to their desk?
escorted. Yeah. I mean, like you wouldn't let them log back into the computer and insert a virus or something, but like you should be able to pick up your cherished photos of whatever.
They just put it in a box and mail it to you. At their own expense. But my last job, I actually had a chance to, because it's a big long story, but I was suspended for a few days while they investigated a
Oh,
false
my.
claim against me. Couldn't find proof that it was wrong, so I was fired. So
Wait, what?
yeah. Someone told someone
Someone-
I did something I didn't do, and then they
couldn't
couldn't
prove
prove
that
that
you
I
didn't
didn't
do
do
it?
it, so they fired me. Well, they fired everyone in that department in the matter of like a month.
That's some
So
Napoleonic
they're-
justice. That's some guilty until proven innocent shit.
Yeah, they were looking for reasons to fire everyone, and everyone except for like 4 people got fired, and like a department of 30 people.
Oh my
So
God.
anyway, they told me on the phone because my only boss, only person who was left above me who hadn't left the department or been fired already,
Yeah.
was in Kentucky. So she wasn't even physically in the building. They called me on my desk phone and told me, we're suspending you. So I packed up everything that I wanted and just left the crap. And then they tried to send me my trash. And I told them, they were like, we don't have a valid address on file for you, or we want to make sure the one that we have is right. Is this right? And I was like, don't bother.
If we
Like,
need
I
to
don't-
serve, if
I
we need to
don't want it.
process serve you, where would we happen to find you? I mean, we want to send you your stuff.
They mailed me, it was like a blanket that I had in my desk, and then a coffee machine that was like communal that I had donated to the department. And I was like, I don't want it. I have like 3 coffee machines already.
Oh my God.
It's fine. Just throw it away. Anyway, back to
Yeah.
Futurama.
So Proposition Infinity, this was the episode they did the live read on several months ago to launch
yeah.
Worlds of Tomorrow. So
Yes.
I had some memories
I
of it.
forgot that.
Um,
Even though we did a whole bonus episode on it.
we might
right?
have been
We
drunk.
kinda,
I was certainly drunk when I watched them do it
I
because it started
was
real
not.
late.
I was in bed and I fell asleep for the end.
It was whatever, but the thing that bothered me about this, and there were some visual gags that I was happy to see, was just that like Amy is really mean to Kif.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
really
She's
fucking
mean all of
awful
the
to him.
time.
I don't know. She's necessarily. She's certainly self-centered.
Gleesh.
Yeah, but like she's just being an asshole to him, and that really upset me early on. But then and I guess that carries on. I mean, they need to have a precipitating incident for this. But then when it turns into Morbo talking about the graffiti that's desecrating their city's filthy urine-soaked walls, is was this around the time that Exit Through the Gift Shop was going on?
See, I wanted to talk about this because I don't get the whole tile graffiti thing. I'm not sure what they were going for with that.
Well,
This is
there's the
2010
Toynbee
that this came out,
tiles.
right?
So there's that aspect of it.
I don't think it had anything to do with that.
You don't?
No. I think it was just I think if it was anything, it was the Adult Swim Aqua
Moonanites?
Teen, Aqua Teen Hunger Force Moonanite thing where they were putting up the like light brights around, was it Boston? Or wherever it was,
yeah,
like a couple
somewhere.
big cities.
I saw a giant
They thought
Moonanite
they
in
were
Las
like-
Vegas once.
Yeah, they thought that the devices were bombs or something because like no one had. I mean, I'm sure a select niche of people knew Aqua
Yeah.
Teen at that point, but it was only like a few seasons old and no one really got it. People thought they were bombs.
I wasn't sure because when did Exit Through the Gift Shop come out?
2008.
I would guess not. Yeah, I was gonna say 2009, but
That's
I
what
thought
I'm
it
gonna
was.
guess.
I
I'm
thought it
gonna
was
guess
earlier
2008.
than that. I was thinking 2005, 2006 because.
2010.
Oh wow, I was way off.
which
And
is
this
when this episode came out in 2000.
Yeah, so there might have been some
Could be.
coincidence.
I
but-
don't know. It felt like a topical thing that
Yeah.
I was missing.
I mean, but are you familiar with the Toynbee tiles at all?
Yes.
No.
There's somebody, as far as I know, still unknown who has kind of left these folk art mosaic graffiti pieces in various cities. I think mostly in Philadelphia. I believe some have been found in Cleveland. And they'll like show up in a road in a pothole and it'll be like asphalted in or something, or it'll like be, stuck into a wall where bricks are or something. They're called Toynbee tiles. I don't even know why that is, unless they're feverishly researching this now. But that's because of that sort of mosaic-y piece that they did with all the Bender stuff. That's what it reminded me of. But then the fact that he was like, oh, I'm sneaking around and nobody's going to figure it out. That was more like the Banksy thing.
Yeah, that's what that felt like to me.
It's like, have you ever seen any Banksy stuff for real?
No.
I've come across it a couple times here and there.
Well, you go places. I don't.
I do, but like the one time it
You
wasn't even
travel.
on purpose. I was in Toronto and we were just walking like around our hotel to go get breakfast, and then came up and there was this like wall painting that was behind plexiglass. And when we looked it up, we're like, oh, that was like an actual Banksy thing that got stuck there. And then it was Canada, so they preserved it as valuable art for the public to enjoy. Who knew? But it seemed like a whole, I mean, with Bender, like why the fuck would he be doing it anyway?
It was weird. I think you said earlier it's like they needed some sort of inciting incident. So he gets in jail. That's the inciting incident between him and Amy.
And it could have been any random
It could
type
have been
thing.
anything. It never really comes back in any way later in the episode. We see
No.
some of the tile art and the tornado on the house
Yeah.
later, but
Oh,
it's never,
yeah.
it's never like there's no trajectory to it. It just
I
kinda
love
brings
the
it up.
sound that it makes when he's putting up the tile.
I
Free
agree
call.
100%. That was
Oh my
fun.
God.
That'd
Shout
suit
out
me
to
just
Oh,
fine.
that was maybe my favorite thing of the whole is the hyper chicken. Like
Free
just,
call.
oh,
Yeah, they get some good gags out of it, and it's fun to watch him running around and that sound is
The
fun.
sound is great.
when then Smitty and Earl be like, it's time to beat him his rights. they just never lay off with the violent cop thing. It's pretty great.
Does sort of class up the place.
Yeah, that could be like, if you graffitied on people, would that be considered assault?
Yes.
What I mean, just because you were,
I'm using my expertise here.
I'm
saying
just,
yes, definitively.
it's just a hypothetical. I mean, like if your friend passes out a party and you draw dicks on their face, yeah, obviously. But I guess that's sort of, you got to expect that to happen.
Yeah, but what would be the criminal offense if it got that far? Your passed out friend woke up that angry and vindictive.
I don't know.
It would be assault.
Could be.
I would think so.
Is personal vandalism a crime? I mean, to be honest, I'm just glad I didn't wake up with dicks drawn on my face this weekend because I had a long night the other night. And, I didn't get woken up by that. I got woken up by my friend's 7-year-old going, why are there so many people sleeping here? You go, we were up real late. Everybody got real tired. That purple linguine that's in your bushes out front had nothing to do with me.
Gross.
Well, look, it happens. On that note, Kiv and Amy argued all night too, and the same thing they always argue about. He's just not manly enough for her, right?
Yeah.
I just get the feeling that she's never satisfied with whatever she has. Like she's perpetually grass is always greener. But the hunk of the month calendar was something else.
I have a general Futurama question here.
Yeah.
Are all pictures like Harry Potter animated? Is this a thing in the Futurama?
Many of them are.
There's talking
I was
tattoos.
gonna comment on the tattoos as well. There are just some lore things that kind of went over my head a little bit.
Like Nixon on the Nixon bucks on the
Yeah.
300 big ones. Like the $300 bill, Nixon's face is on it and it talks.
Is there an explanation for this, or is this just cartoon logic that we roll with?
Because it's the year 3000 and it's the future.
Oh.
Technically, it's 3010 right
At this
in it.
point. Yeah, I mean, and some of it though, like, because I asked a lot of those questions as we've gone through this too. I mean, some of it is just like a one-off thing. I think the talking tattoos have only started to come. This might be like the second time those have come up. But you know, it's like they've established the gag, so they'll return to it when they're feeling lazy or particularly clever.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, the sax playing firefighter Todd.
Why did he have a saxophone?
I was going to ask you that. I mean,
It's funny.
The Hunk of the Month Club is certainly not geared towards my demographic. I don't think it's geared towards yours, Tom. I don't know if it's geared towards yours, Jeff, but it might fall into yours. I mean, why is, like, in The Lost Boys, when that guy is playing,
that's why I hate,
still believe.
That's why I hate saxophone.
And he's the bodybuilding guy with the Jerry curl extensions and just the oil.
Right? Or is it?
I think he's got like an open flowing, like a pirate shirt.
No, he's shirtless.
Is he shirtless? I thought it was just like open.
No, he's shirtless,
he's
all oiled up, playing
been
the
like
saxophone.
5 years since I've seen that.
Why the saxophone? What is it that's
Slap,
so... Not that
I guess
there aren't-
as like sultry, sexy instruments go, the saxophone is like stereotype romance music maker.
like Kenny G?
Yeah, I don't know about that
You
specifically,
reveal something
but
about yourself here, Michelle.
I mean, like Morphine, sure. Absolutely. Like Dana Colley, that guy plays some sexy horns.
Saxophone's a sexy instrument.
It can be. It can also be yakety sax. Which, you know, that's... I mean, I guess when you pair it up with the Benny Hill visuals, it's kind of sexy too. It's sort of like high-speed molestation. Who doesn't like that? The burp ringtone identifying itself as Bender seemed to be a little on the nose.
I recognize the smell.
It's gross.
I wish
a
my
wet
phone.
I did not approve of that.
I
one.
wish-
Gross. That was the gross sound effect of the episode.
Yeah.
I had some texture at the end of it.
Yeah.
I wish that my phone had smell tones, though. That might be cool.
I love
If
this
you can-
technology, even though it's still a console phone set on the table at the side of the couch.
yeah. I didn't even think about that. Like, were there ever console phones that let you set different ringtones for people?
I would doubt it. I don't know. I mean, is this a thing where when this show came out, they sort of committed to their phone technology and then that changed, but they committed to their...
Oh, no.
their
They had a
version of the future?
rotary flip phone last episode
Okay.
or a couple
That's
episodes
the one
ago.
that you watched with me was the Attack of the Killer app, right?
Oh,
The iPhones?
The iPhones.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's all over the place. That's one of my biggest critiques of the show that has led to the audience hating me over the years.
You're too particular about the world
I
building
just cartoon logic bothers me.
here? I'm with you, man. I'm all about, like, you got to commit
I like
to...
consistency.
You build your world and commit to it. You know, you can't just throw off a one-off joke and now that destroys your whole...
But they do.
integrity.
Not often, but it happens. Was Bender just calling Amy because she's rich? He's like, oh, she's my rich friend, and that'll take care of that.
Probably.
Yeah. Because his bail is $5,000.
And Fry wouldn't have that.
No, absolutely not.
You know the floor safe where you keep $10,000. There's $5,000 in there.
That was good.
Well, he's in Will Riker's Island, where you should try their toilet
Yeah.
wine. With Roberto, Roberto still had a knife in the prison. Like, why wouldn't they have taken that away?
Because it's part of him.
I thought it comes off.
It does, but it's part of him.
I mean, at the same time, playing devil's advocate to myself, can robots actually be stabbed to death? They were in like a robot holding pen, right? I don't think there was like...
There was a human in there.
Was there?
The tattooed guy was in there.
Oh, okay.
There was some other... There were other options for stabbing targets.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, was that
just,
Larry the murder burglar?
Yes. Yes. There were some soft options for stabbing in there.
Well, okay. Also, Bender says he better carve a shiv for protection, and then he pulls out a switchblade.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the better gags, I thought. That is right up my alley as far as a good visual
He
gag.
had a knife in his
Magical chest
cavity,
cavity, yes.
and a stick, and he pulls out a knife to whittle a shiv.
Yep, that one got me. I
Well,
appreciate a joke like that.
And they took
Yes.
all the other stuff out of there, so why didn't they
Yeah.
take out that stuff?
His hat from the Players Ball and his accordion was in there.
It's all very goofy, but the bad guy that tries to kidnap Amy, like, she's just ready to go with it right away. She seems powerless against anyone who's a miscreant or whatnot. What is the attraction?
The bad boy attraction? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm apparently the bad boy filmmaker as introduced.
Bad
earlier.
boys.
It's not working for me. I
That's
got to
the
find an
thing.
Amy, I
I
guess.
thought that just involved a lot of jumpsuits and wind. I don't know. I come from a different time.
I don't know, but Larry the murder burglar, that was the last straw, and I think
Wait, was that Larry the murder burglar?
yeah, he says,
So Larry the murder
"Hi,
burglar-
hot stuff. I'm Larry the murder burglar."
Gotcha. Okay, I thought it was the guy in the pen with them.
No. Okay, no. So Larry the murder burglar is in the pen with them, and he shows his tattoo, and then Amy pulls down her
pants to
and that's
show
the
her
last straw
tattoo.
for Kif.
Okay,
But
yeah,
then she gets held at lightsaber point
yes.
when they're leaving. So there's two bad boys.
That she
found
but
is
she's
the
not
thing.
really being held. Like, she's like, oh, okay, I'll go with it. This sounds like fun, which just sends Kif over the edge.
He's tired of her ruffling
Yes.
his petticoats.
I know.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like they're in two different places. But
Well-
they're fan ruse, which apparently doesn't mean anything.
I did look that up.
Yeah, that's just stupid terminology.
I
from
got
the
it.
show.
Yeah.
I got it.
It's-
I was happy to see Google finish it out for me. And then there was a link right there ready for me. So that was nice. I didn't know if I was spelling it right or not. But
But Google figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's what is Prejant.
Glad you did your research.
The transition to Forbidden Planet Hollywood, where tourists mingle with other
Some-
tourists.
that's great. That-
Great
This is also
items
the
on
first time
exhibit
that
there.
Bender uses "Let's go already," and he uses it more often.
Does he?
Upcoming
See, I didn't even know
episodes,
that was
yeah.
a catchphrase.
It will be.
Yep.
Huh?
I didn't realize
Interesting.
that was the first time he said it, though.
The genesis of a catchphrase.
Have you ever gone to a Planet Hollywood?
No.
I think I did when I was a kid. Are there any left?
I was just at
I remember them.
I don't think I've been to one.
last November in
Sylvester
Disney.
Stallone is the only one that still owns one. I don't.
They had one at Disney Springs. I was there for a work thing and just went to meet some people, and they were there, and it was really like, oh, this is unpleasant. It's not, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm trying. I mean, I guess it's sort of like what the Hard Rock cafes were back in the day. It was like, oh, look, here's a guitar that someone snorted coke off of in 1967. Maybe I'm getting my period drugs wrong or something, but like, it's like, oh, that's cool. And then they diluted their whole thing, and it became this meaningless.
Lame.
Yeah. But just the stuff they had in there was so weird. And then the other thing was, like, right when they walk in, there's a guy just kind of strolling by in like a pot leaf romper. And like, what is his deal? Because it was just, it was clearly just like giant marijuana leaves all over it.
I don't think I caught that.
I didn't either.
My eye has been trained, we'll say.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw the Chewbacca's feet and Iron Man's underpants and Elvis's pelvis.
Yep.
And
And
So Calculon's agent was there too.
right, just like, do you think he got that office space for free, or was he paying for that for his own little minor celebrity? I'm waiting for some sort of mixologist to come up with a drink that creates its own microclimate that reigns itself back in.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
that seems like something LBM
so
could come up
that's
with.
a one-off there, right? That's just like, here, is there any precedent for that sort of technology?
They may have done it
I
before,
think
but not.
they either do it in an episode we just watched or one that is about to come up, because I just watched like 10 of the upcoming episodes in a row. So I can't remember
What?
How?
how
drinks that-
I watch one and then forget to turn it off and do other stuff.
What
So-
about the drinks?
The drinks that like refill themselves.
Because they have a cloud over them that rains the drink back in.
Like the
They cheers and
No, I think it's the only episode that they.
I thought they had something like that.
There's
at the
one
hip
where
joint,
it's-
like,
it's-
way back.
Maybe.
yeah, it's Amy and Leela and they like cheers and then okay, it is coming up. I know
Okay.
which one it is now.
Okay.
It'll be in like 2 more episodes. It happens again.
it's
but
a weird one to me because
anyway.
it's not particularly, it's not funny.
It's
It's
just
just not a
cool.
gag to it. It's just it's
Yeah.
kind of neat.
It's like,
you look at it. It's
this
like,
is- that's what the future will be like.
it's
Yeah.
just it's a detail. I'm not sure what the purpose is exactly.
Like, Pete, I don't know if you realize this, but did it seem like this episode had a ton of sound clips from the game, the Futurama World of Tomorrow game in it? Because it was like every 2 minutes, I was like, yep, that's another one of Amy's sayings.
you know
or
what's
like
funny?
3 of Farnsworth's.
I've never played the game with the sound on.
Really?
I think maybe for like the first 5 minutes, and when I got to the first battle scene where it was like the weird Tetris music, I'm like, oh no, I
Well, when
won't
you-
be having any of that.
When you tap on the characters,
Do
they say stuff. They say quotes from the game, but this one has a whole lot of Amy's. Like every single one of Amy's is in this episode. It's
I had no
weird.
idea, and I'm still the only dumbass that's playing it on this show.
Yeah.
Anyway. I almost have the 7th artifact. I can't stop. I'm so
the
close.
fact that you still haven't gotten it makes me glad that I stopped playing it like 8 months ago.
That's fine. I mean, I gotta do something on the toilet. That's just really
Was
what
it
it
like a
comes down
mobile
to.
game or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fine. I just you know, like I said, that bathroom time you gotta make it count.
Sure.
I
mean, you do work from home, so
It's true.
you can take as long as you want in the bathroom.
I don't ever take
with games and whatnot.
I don't ever take as long as I want, but I will usually take as long as I need. Now, I know that it's
Well, the reason I bring it up is because Amy says one of her lines here, which is when she says, "Looks like I'm back in the game." That was like the thing that the Amy character, every time you tap on her, says, "Well, it looks like I'm back in the game."
Oh,
That's a soundbite for a game for sure.
that makes me want to delete it.
It
Like,
just sounds like some
now.
mobile game garbage,
Yeah.
or it's just an excuse to include sound bites from elsewhere.
I mean, so what happens is Bender's complete abusive nature and Amy's need for denigration just become a perfect combustible match here.
Is there precedent for them? Is there chemistry previously between them?
Zero.
Okay.
No.
This is just for this
Zero. Out
of the
episode.
blue.
Let's make it happen.
Now, to be fair,
Bender did say shut up.
he did, but Amy is, as we've tried to put a good spin on it, very sex positive,
Yeah.
and has sort of she gets around, but it's all consensual, fun adult times, and she doesn't seem to have a lot of hangups about particular species or anything. Because I mean, her and Kif were Fan Ruse. They were dating for a long time before that. She's gone out with like clouds of intelligence and all these other things. So
Now she's pioneering new territory.
yeah, well.
And she's also a scientist, which
Yes.
is cool.
She's got like she's a physics grad student. But that being said, the whole premise of this episode, which drives me nuts, like this is really the thing that just this drove me nuts about it to begin with when we talked about it last time, is they make this big deal out of robosexuality. But there have been several episodes where human characters and robots have been engaged in like, at the very least sexual relationships.
Were they getting married? though?
That's the thing. It wasn't like the robosexuality that was the bad part. There was just no robosexual marriage.
In
No,
New
it was
York.
the
Taboo.
robosexuality was the bad part. The preacher bot was.
Well, yeah, they say
just-
it was. I'm saying that they say that it was taboo, but it's just not legal for them to get married. They can be robosexuals and have it be taboo, but not be able to be married. And I
But
don't
it
think
wasn't
that's
even
ever come
portrayed
out.
as a taboo before. Like when Fry was
Well,
doing the Lucy Liu robot.
Prop 8 wasn't topical at that point like it was when this episode came out. That was the
That's
whole thing.
Also,
I get that
it's
part.
about the room you're in, right? It's about the
Yes.
environment. Some people don't find it taboo. I don't know.
It seemed weird to go from seemingly more progressive to less progressive, and then I just realized what I said
You
and
just
the
said
world
it
we
out
live
loud,
in. I'm
right.
like, oh, where Mike Pence is a heartbeat away from the presidency. Fuck, and then I get it now. Never mind. We're all
Talked yourself out of this one. I guess it would be incongruous if you saw Farnsworth not having issue with it before.
yes.
That would be incongruous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that got all weird, but I think my favorite stupid throwaway gag from this entire episode.
Circusitis.
Yes.
I knew it. It's too good. It's too good.
Just the
I
whole
also
thing.
looked that up, and Google finished that for me as well.
Because it had
Really?
no bearing on anything at all.
Yeah,
it was just
there's no
like
point.
we're gonna make Hermes turn into a clown.
It brings you into the scene, and it gets you out of the scene with the gag. I think they went in and they were like, we need to have. That's where there's What does happen in that scene?
I think the professor gets all weird about
It's not. It's Amy and Bender are hiding.
Yeah,
Their secret
Bender's
from the
wearing
group.
Amy's pants.
Right, that's what's going on in that scene. So they need a little scene where they're hiding it, but there's not enough punch there. So somewhere on a drawing board in the writer's room was circusitis, and maybe it had been up there for forever.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Probably.
this is the time. Let's bring circusitis in. We'll start the scene with it. We'll end the scene with it. It's perfect.
with the feet, and then blowing his nose, and the
Each reveal is
handkerchiefs
so
come out,
good.
and just turning white. I mean, it was just, and then it goes away like immediately. Like,
Yeah, not a plot. I've noticed that a lot. There's an A plot. We don't really have a B or C plot here. I thought maybe it'd be the tiles. We're getting to the planet.
you know what? And there are episodes that usually do. So in that regard, this episode is a little different in that it's kind of just the one thing with a lot of supporting gags.
Yeah. Has anyone seen the movie Clown?
No.
Is that the movie
that
where
the
the guy
Danish one?
starts turning into
He
a
gets
clown?
disease that turns him into a clown. It's like
Yeah.
a legitimate body horror version of circusitis.
Yeah.
It's like just terrible.
No.
It's directed by John Watts, who did the new Spider-Man movie.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else.
It's not. It's an American film, but it's so gross. His like nose starts to swell and turn red, and like he gets like this smile like kind of grows into his face. It's just a lot of.
The
like
only
The Fly,
clown
but-
movie we talk about in this house, sir, is Shakes the Clown.
Shakes the Clown.
Are you seriously? Did that just go over everyone's head?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Bobcat Goldthwait's first movie
Oh, okay.
about a ne'er-do-well clown and his life as a clown in 80s Los Angeles amongst the clown community, and I think he becomes a bank robber.
It sounds cool.
It's
I've
hilarious.
never seen it, but it didn't ring a bell at first. But now I think I know which one you're talking
It's
about.
hilarious. I mean, and I think it's come up before, but like anything Bobcat Goldthwait has directed is fucking
It
fantastic.
really is.
It's real. Like his entire output is just high quality, and he's done horror, he's done dark
That
comedy.
God Bless America movie.
Yeah, World's Greatest Dad.
Yeah.
Ooh,
His,
I like that one.
his
I've seen
documentary about Barry Crimmins is great. It's called Call Me Lucky, but like, and he does it all on a very guerrilla level. Like it's all like super low budget and very well done, and he's just. He's a really interesting guy to listen to him talk about stuff because he just kind of divorced himself from all of the transgressive comedy of the 80s, which then got cheapened by all the Police Academy stuff. And he's just like, that's all people want to see when I go out to do stand-up, but I got to make alimony payments. So then he does this other stuff. And he's a really well-regarded like TV and movie director now.
I'll have to crack into that.
But yeah, I don't even know if you can find Shakes the Clown anywhere now, but definitely worth hunting down. That being said, when after that scene where Bender's got Amy's pants on, they go outside. There's the couple walking across the street just in the background that has the
Yes.
nudie bar dresses on.
Yes.
I
I did
love
notice
those.
those.
I want to do that for Halloween. I think this year.
I think I missed this one too.
It was
They
a
were
visual gag
teeny
in the
tiny
back.
at the bottom of the screen. Just a couple holding hands wearing like those see-through plastic outfits with like the black bars covering up the
Okay.
naughty bits.
Yeah, and they've popped up here and there before. It's just like it's a type of it's like a style of dress in the future.
Cool.
And
All right.
it's silly. But that at that point, that's where the preacher bot is just going off on robosexuality. And the part that I don't understand is why is it wrong?
Why is it wrong?
Why is it wrong?
It's, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it should be wrong, so therefore I can't answer that question.
Why do you think the preacher bot thinks it's wrong?
Well, he's clearly got his own.
I don't think
Yeah,
the preacher
there's
bot
something-
does think it's.
We find out why Professor thinks it's wrong.
Yes.
I think it's just people, the same reason why people think gay marriage is wrong, or
There's no valid
like
reason.
there's no, it's,
Wait, it isn't. You guys don't know me. What if I came in here and I
No,
was like,
I know you.
I mean, we just make some
podcast is gonna
assumptions.
take a turn.
Oh, beat you with one of these
I'm just-
mic stands for your
My-
intolerance, you fuck.
my point is that
Feel
it's,
like intolerance or getting hit in the face by me.
if you,
Skipping ahead a little. Sorry.
it would be wrong to people that feel it's wrong, and you can't really explain that. I mean, I guess you could, but probably the same thing. Like a lot of it, this is probably the same reason why they showed that tape, that video to Fry when he was dating the Lucy Liu bot.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, because humanity,
Change is scary.
It's not changed though. It's been going on forever. You can. What do you think was going on behind the scenes on Lost in Space? What do you think Dr. Smith and Robbie the Robot were up to?
All right, this is an interesting conversation. Not just this, but to broaden it out and like examples of robosexual relations and other.
I mean,
media.
it's not like we'll say it's not like homosexuality where it's got analogs in even the animal kingdom, and we assume through the entire course of human behavior. So when robots first started being created, we'll say in the 50s,
Okay.
Robots.
The phase scientists that created them were certainly diddling them.
Have you been
And that
watching
was-
Silicon Valley?
I just finished this season.
Yes.
Yeah. I have
don't wanna
not watched the
spoil
new
it because
Lost in
it's-
Space, but apparently it's very good.
I haven't seen it yet either. I'm crazy for Parker Posey, so that'll get me to watch just about anything.
And I think Parker Posey's kind of crazy for everything. That's sort of her charm. I don't know. That's the thing. It seems like so forced. I guess that I get that they were trying to make this a whole Prop 8 thing, but it's just
well,
it's one of those things where like just having the energy to care seems like too much. Like the fact that you've got that kind of emotional energy to focus on something like that vehemently that has no bearing on your life whatsoever. Like you need a hobby besides shouting down people who love each other in a way that you just can't comprehend.
that happens a lot on the street that I work on.
Really?
Yeah, on weekends, on like Saturdays a lot. There's a guy that just stands down by that little square at like Market
Yeah.
and 25th and
Yeah.
just shouts things about people going to hell
That's
in a megaphone.
so it's just really distorted and crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of saying about how everyone's going to hell and Jesus is the only troop.
Jesus is
Anything.
the troop.
Any true is join the Jesus troop, the J troop,
Was that a 90s boy band?
the J troop.
J Troop.
It sounds like it.
5 guys, all that had names starting with a J. Justin, Jeremy,
Jason,
Jason,
Jez.
Jason B, and Jason Q.
Q. Such an unlikely first initial for a last name. So, for some reason,
Single mother, let's get her.
yes, they have to go chase the single mother. But we go into the Planet Express, and Farnsworth has everybody gather into the ship's basement, which
Good
is
gag.
like a weird.
Great gag. It's a tornado. You got to go in
Yeah,
the basement.
they went to the ship's basement,
And it's
which
made
is
out of
like an
wood.
old. It's an
There's
old
a
wooden
cellar
basement.
door.
Yes,
Zoidberg
it's the best.
closes
It's like the most typical cellar in any old house. So
Thinking about a spaceship having a basement is very hard to
Hilarious.
just fathom.
because they
Just
don't,
like a
they
wooden
can't.
in a spaceship. I like.
Yeah,
But I mean, really, when you go below deck in any ship, isn't that basically like a basement?
I consider a basement below ground only.
What if you were in a ship and you went below water?
That's not a basement.
What is it?
It's the bottom of the ship.
If you have a cellar door like that, I don't care where it's at. That's a basement. You got to close it from
That
overhead.
yeah, that is. But
That's some basement.
If you
Most
can't
ships
open the
don't have a
window
cellar
because dirt or water will come in, I think it counts as a basement.
The floor of a building partly or entirely below ground level.
See, I do think that is an important
So,
detail.
yeah.
Okay,
I
now
think
Google
that's the-
basement on a ship.
So, for some reason, this is where Farnsworth stores all of his jarred weather,
Pickled
his
weather.
pickled winds and weathers.
It is unbelievably stupid.
For the county
I love
fair.
it.
Include Sunny, Snow Flurry, Hail with Onions, and his grandmother's cranberry raisin typhoon. He's got no tornado. So he'll be damned if he's going to let Mrs. Girdleson take the blue ribbon again.
Also,
The basement of a ship is
B-plot.
called a hold.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there is a basement, though.
Yeah, but
it is
it's
a hold.
the
You don't call it a
hold. It's
basement.
not the
It's
basement.
not. It's not a basement.
But a hold wouldn't be good enough to defend you against a tornado. You
And
need
that's
a basement
also
specifically.
a basement is where you keep your pickled anything. If you're a canner or like a person that jars fruits or makes salsa or whatever,
We have
like
a canning cellar downstairs,
see,
a little canning closet.
It's such a throwaway joke. It's pretty easy to miss. When they're
Yeah.
just like, we're going to the basement.
I did. I see. It didn't even faze me because I'm like, of course, there's a basement in a ship. I thought it was weirder that it was made out of wood than anything else. But why not? I mean, you could panel it to make it cozy.
It's a quick and stupid joke about tornadoes.
yeah.
Now, given the seemingly endless series of random shit that you've done, Michelle, have you ever submitted baked goods or pickles to the county fair or the estate fair or anything?
No,
The estate fair?
State fair.
Oh.
no,
Did you ever do any horse competitions or anything at them?
yeah, every year
So it was. I mean, you competed,
at a state fair. Yes,
but you not in the
not
food
in like
portion
the
of things.
the pickling or pie.
Okay.
No pickled
Making
Windsor
or-
Weathers.
No,
I have a friend that's done some county fairs. So she's actually won some stuff at the county fair, submitting baked goods and whatnot. But it seems like a lot of, I don't know. You know, like you go in and you see it and it's been sitting out for a couple days and everything starts to look a little like, ugh, I don't know. I never used to like going to the county fair, and then I had a kid, and then you can take them and go on the rides and they enjoy it, and you eat like shitty food for an hour, and then everybody feels nauseous and you go home. Yeah. That's great.
Fried everything on a stick.
They have there's a kiosk called Cracker Billy's that sells alligator.
gator. I think I have. I don't think we bought anything from that stand, but I'm aware.
You missed
It was
out.
really expensive. I can't remember
It
if I
is very
ate gator if I
expensive.
didn't. I think it was like $16 for like one gator on a stick.
No, but maybe gator
No,
on a
it
stick
was
with fries.
it was definitely that much just
gator
for
basket would
something.
be
'Cause
like
I was
$16.
well, maybe it was a basket, but I think the cheapest thing was $14, and I was like,
Fuck this.
no, not at a fair I'm not from a stand. I'm not spending that much money.
No, if this was plated at a restaurant,
Yes, exactly.
with some sort of aioli, and
Yeah, the
the
Winchester
compotes.
has gator. They have deep fried gator. At
Really?
the
What
Winchester,
does?
yeah.
Oh, the Winchester.
They did at one point. I don't know if it's still on the
should
menu.
really go there
They kind of
sometime.
changed their menu around.
Yeah, they got good stuff there.
Yep. I think you were there the time I got the gator bites.
Mayhaps.
I think you were.
ultimately, it's Bender and Amy go missing, and they're missing out
Yeah.
on the hot pickle action, and it turns out they are the hot pickle action.
That was the whole point of the tornado segment. Then was just to get
Yeah,
them caught.
it was to get them caught.
Yeah,
I think it might be invigorating to do it in a tornado.
absolutely.
I mean, unless you were like getting ripped apart by very strong winds.
Is the show always so horny?
It's gotten more so since these new episodes
Yeah,
came
Comedy
back.
Central kind of horned it up.
It did. It became a bit raunchier, but there's always been, like we said, Amy's been a sex positive character from the beginning. But there's a lot more side boob and ass in Futurama these days than there were at the earlier seasons.
Yeah, I did take notice.
But that at that point, the professor just loses his shit.
The whole tornado segment was pickled winds and weathers is very funny to me.
Yeah.
It goes nowhere, which almost makes it funnier because it's such a bizarre throwaway.
Well-
It's this weird, like, high concept of stupidity.
Do you think it's like a callback to the drinks they were having earlier at the club, where they pickle the winds and weather, and then it becomes like your artisanal bitters or something?
interesting?
I didn't think
But
about
I don't
that.
think if that was an intended connection, I think they kind of blew it because it's not obvious enough. That seems like a deep dive. a little bit.
Sometimes I have these epiphanies while
Right.
we're talking, and then I forget them immediately after saying them.
The whole snafu of them were trying to like ghost bust their tornado on jetpacks or whatever they were doing, where they couldn't hear
Yeah.
each other. Great,
That
was
was
great.
Yeah.
Classic.
So on the count of three, what does she say?
I like.
I'm not
I like
in
after the
position.
countdown, Zoidberg saying, "I'm ready for the countdown now."
And the professor immediately narcs on Amy to Leo and Inez.
Yeah, what a piece of shit, huh?
He's very
He's old.
he is, but he's also kind of an asshole. He's been that way since he was young. At least it's come off that way in flashbacks and whatnot. But
Yeah, because he says, a pair of deviant robosexuals not under my roof. Bender says, what about on the roof? And then he goes, get your mind out of the gutter. What about in the gutter?
But then he gets the preacher bot to drag Bender off to the reprogramming camp. But when they got to the Wong Ranch and there's a sign that says no broke backing.
No broke backing.
That's cheap.
I mean, well,
Yeah,
when did that one come out?
that was like 2006.
6 or 7, I would
Was
say.
it?
Because I remember going to see it with my friend and her high school boyfriend. So
Has that high school boyfriend, 2005, has that high school boyfriend come out since then?
I don't know.
I saw that
have
movie in
had
theaters and I loved it.
I didn't.
I did too.
It's beautiful. Ang Lee's movies generally are
Yeah.
horrifying and heartbreaking, as his movies generally are. When you get to that point. But like the Hulk, horrifying and heartbreaking, I think fits that too.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. I can't. And we've talked about this with a bunch of stuff. It's like we've talked about it with like sexism or homophobia or whatever. It's just like, how can you muster, like, I can't feel anything about anything really. So to get that excited and agitated about anything that doesn't even have to do with you is just like, why do you like care? And I don't mean it like 100%, because obviously the shit that's happening to people who are disenfranchised or, whatever, like right now, like the stuff that's happening with the migrant families and things is fucking horrible. Like that's horrible. That's outrageous. Like in the sense of like, this is making me outraged, but that's because it's just fucking wrong. Whereas, oh yeah, these people are going to go into their house and do whatever the fuck they want to do. And it's got nothing to do with you. And you're going to like pick it. Like how gay do you think Fred Phelps is? Or Mike Pence, for that matter. Like, the guy behind the Westboro Baptist Church, like how, because it's literally just like a 1-to-1 correlation. Like, every time there is a politician who is vehemently anti-gay, they are to a fault, like outed as doing crystal meth with gay prostitutes. It's like,
It certainly happens often enough, but I also don't even know if that connection matters either. Like, who cares if they're hiding something? The saying of these things to begin with is the problem.
well,
Yeah.
it's the hypocrisy of it. It's like, and I don't know, the whole thing. It just, I can't wrap my head around it really when it gets into things like racism or sexism or whatever. It's just like I've had this thing happening at work where a coworker thinks that a client is just being outright shitty to her because she's a woman. And just, he thinks he could be a total asshole to her. And I'm like, I absolutely believe you that is happening. It's fucked that it's happening. I can't even like get myself into the headspace where I'd be like, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like, why wouldn't that happen? It's so hard to digest in so many ways. This is really going off the rails. It's just like the state of our world is just fucking awful.
It's weighing on you, man.
I know.
Yeah.
We're just here to talk about stupid cartoons, and it's like, wait, but what about gay reprogramming camps?
Nothing's just a stupid cartoon, though, right? Especially,
Definitely.
Like, I mean,
Have you
mean,
seen
this-
Family Guy?
I love that show. So
You're fired, Tom.
Cancel it already. I'm just done. Just done. But so Amy is at the Wong Ranch. They're trying to get Amy to pick a man because Inez wants to be a grandmother 5 minutes from 9 months from now. Meanwhile, Bender's at the
Camp Rectifier.
Camp Rectifier, preying on the weak since 2976.
Which is, is it like a triple entendre where you have rectifier is like to make something, straight. It's also a component in an electrical circuit.
Yes, that is the joke.
But then also it sounds kind of like rectum.
I mean,
no, I don't. I think you went too far with that.
Did I?
Yes.
I was just
I was
curious.
there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so Fry shows up to rescue Amy from her robosexual desires. Wink. And then Amy says, if I understand you correctly, I've seen the error of my ways. Like, wink. So she escapes quite easily because, Leo and Inez are stupid.
They really are.
Then
if you can't talk about your problems with us, that would be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then there's the recurring character of the trans robot,
Oh, yeah.
the Puerto Rican transsexual robot.
The hermaphrodite, actually.
Is that
Yes.
the name? And then Fatbot is there.
Yes.
And then there's like just a very effeminate gay robot.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just a pre-transa.
It's
Pre-op transformer.
Pre-op transformer.
That was
that's
later.
right.
That was
at the parade.
Yeah.
Just that whole thing, and then of course the preacher bot is like super turned on by all the robosexual play, which is not surprising. I mean, it's almost a hack joke at that point. Right?
Fry, Amy, and Leela and Zoidberg go to rescue Bender from Camp Rectifier by hiding inside the dummy of the human woman that Preacher Bot is having them confront their demons by like making out in front of him with a dummy human. But they're all in the dummy.
Yes.
So I just like that end. The gag that ends the scene where Zoidberg just says, I guess we should have waited in the ship. Like, they're all inside of the dummy, and
it is
Bender
a good
and
gag
Amy are
to
making
get out
out.
of the scene.
Yeah.
We don't really know how them hiding in this dummy facilitated the escape at all. Like, what happened?
Yeah, they just
Well, the preacher bot left.
Yeah.
He just walked away.
So how did they help?
none. It was just a joke.
This is just one of those little details that I'll zero in on with exiting scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With like, what kind of situation were we in? How did we get out of it? How did we
even get into it?
help?
At the end of the day, none of it even matters.
Well, you
It's
got to
all-
move at such a fast clip when you have 21 minutes. So.
Yes. It's so that part's goofy. I just like the fact where they come out of it and Bender proposes to Amy and then she cuts Zoidberg open with the ring.
Yeah.
Ew. That really bothered me. And that's a throwaway joke that like,
Yeah.
okay.
He can molt. It'll
How do
come
I know
back.
it's real?
Ugh.
Yeah, the robo-sexual pride parade was pretty intense. You had the pre-op transformer, you had hedonism bot. Then Bender, when he gets up to do the speech, started naming off the groups that can marry. You had Manbot and Fembot, Donbot, which had Donbot and Fanny, Man and Woman, which was Pauly Shore and Fry's ex-girlfriend Michelle.
Yeah.
Man and Man, Interracial, Interplanetary, and Ghost and Horse.
Ghost and horse, yes.
Which I want to be in a ghost and horse marriage.
I want to
now that I
actually
think
see if
about
we
it.
can find any other examples of ghost horse relationships in other media. If anyone's got anything, type up.
Is there like a haunted Mr. Ed or something? Were there any? So I'm gonna step out on a limb here again, Michelle. But when you were growing up, and I asked this because my younger sister, she's actually about your age, grew up around horses and stuff too. So she has quite an affinity for them.
Did you
But
know
she
any
had-
ghosts?
But she had a lot of horse-based media,
Yeah.
like Black Beauty and
Yes.
things like that. So was there any like haunted ghost horse books or like some sort of crime-solving group of teens who
Yeah.
rode horses?
Yes.
With a
Yes, there was that.
what was it?
God, I'm trying to remember
Was
what
it
it
a-
was
wait,
called.
was it
I
a
had
ghost
a ton
horse?
of them. No, it was like the Babysitters Club, but it was like a group of girls who rode horses. God, what was that?
shit.
What was that called? I had a whole bunch of those books and I read them all, and I'm sure one of them was like the barn's haunted. It had to be.
for sure.
Hold
By
on.
a
I will
horse
look it up.
ghost.
Yeah,
This
it's
crossover doesn't seem so unlikely anymore. I thought the
No.
pairing of ghost and horse was strange at first, but now
And it's like the Hardy Boys, but with
Yeah.
horses, or Nancy Drew with horses, or the Three Investigators with horses.
what was it called? I'll figure it out.
But this had the scene with, I think it's been the banner on our page forever, the Stand Up for Equality shot. And then next to that, I didn't realize that there was the one of fall down and be able to be unable to get up for traditional marriage,
Yeah.
which is, I guess making a comment that old people are, intransigent.
It's the hope we're all holding on to, right? Just waiting for the opinions we don't agree with to die off, right?
And then the people younger than us will do the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's the cycle.
Yeah, but
man.
our opinions are the best. That's the whole
No,
thing.
there were a couple things I held on to in this episode. Also, one, my parents may be evil, but at least they're stupid.
Yes.
That's kind of also a hope that I feel a lot of us are holding on to.
It was called the Saddle Club.
The Saddle Club. I could have told you that.
I think that's a place down in the flats, and I don't think it has anything to do with mysteries or horses. I've heard things. So this is, they put out the actual proposition of infinity, and it becomes a whole thing. There's that anti-robosexual commercial, which just like
That was based off of a real commercial
for Prop 8.
for Prop 8.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Stock footage of clouds.
The clouds, yeah. We can't compete.
But the having George Takei as the debate host, he's been a recurring
His
character.
face
sure he has
changed.
Did it?
Yes, because in this episode, he's like your young George Takei. But in the game, he's like old, like current day. They've used a few different George
Did
Takei
they
faces.
re-render him now? Did he have a bunch of work done?
I don't know.
It's hard to say.
It's
But
hard
it's
to tell
okay
with
to
head
be
in
Takei.
jars. Heads in jars.
I always find celebrity cameos to be cheap.
He's in a few episodes though,
Yeah,
and like Al Gore is in a few episodes.
Hawking's been
Stephen
on
Hawking.
Yeah, that's a whole Futurama
Michelle
element that I remember.
Nichols,
The severed heads, preserved heads, or whatever.
Gary
It
Gygax.
just
Gary
seemed like an
Gygax,
excuse to get the Simpsons cameos in a show that takes place way later.
Yes.
Like, well, just get floating heads to show up.
Yeah.
It's kind of humor that you could only get when you can afford it. That's a part of. I guess cheap might be the wrong word then. but
I bet. Look, you're a local independent filmmaker. I know just local meaning that you work out of here.
Sure.
I bet you could get Mark from Norton Furniture.
He just friended me on Facebook the other day.
I bet you could get Big Chuck and Little John if you. All you have to do is ask.
no, it's
The,
certainly
the real get would be Superhost, but I think he's dead.
Superhost.
Are you? Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I did. I got the other ones here.
Are you fucking kidding me? What about Barnaby?
Barnaby?
I know, yeah. I'm familiar with
Barnaby. Barnaby was like local Captain Kangaroo.
Okay.
Superhost was the Saturday afternoon, monster movie guy, and he was like this
after
sort of.
Goulardi.
This was like during the day, probably 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Kind of a out of shape, like Parma Polish looking guy, big nose. He'd do it with red on the end just to make it look like he had the drunky nose. And he'd wear like a Superman outfit, but he was all out of shape.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And he'd have like
Okay.
big satin boxer shorts and blue overalls. And
Probably before we were old enough to. Yeah, I have no idea who that
This
is.
guy.
I'm not from
Yeah.
here, so that's older than us.
Yeah, but I'm sure there was some analog down in Columbus at some point too. But I mean, I think for things
Fritz
like
the Night
that,
Owl, probably.
Yeah, even so,
Marty
just like
Sullivan.
getting somebody to show up.
yeah,
It's never been a joke that works for me.
not even getting Tim Misney to wrestle a bear.
Like there are probably examples, and I appreciated the George Takei joke of the last time I heard a speech that great was when Will Shatner
Yeah.
had to explain why he couldn't pay me back. That's good. I like envisioning a Will Shatner being so like charming and overdrawn with something as why I can't pay you back. I like to imagine that speech.
When I was 13 years old, and I was avidly into comic books at that point, they did a Comic-Con here in Cleveland at the Cleveland Convention Center. Not the new fancy one. The old one where there was like fossilized feces on the ground in the restrooms. I have a picture I'll need to show you from like 2008. It was bad. It was a bad venue. So this is like in the late 80s. And a friend of my family took me down there. I'd never been to one. It's basically just a warehouse of like comic book guys with like comics, but George Takei was supposed to be the guest speaker. I didn't stick because I didn't care about Star Trek, so I didn't stick around to see it. But like that, he was on that circuit at that point. It was just like, oh, I could have met him. Just with, oh, hello, you know. Just he seems so genuinely engaging and nice.
Yeah,
you know, it's you just want the best for him. I'm glad that all of those horrible accusations turned out to be poppycock, so to speak. But their debate, the professor starting with back when I was full of piss and vinegar and my bed wasn't.
it's a good one.
It's a very Grandpa Simpson-esque line. Like that's, I wouldn't be surprised if that's gotten used on both of them. But he comes back with the story of how he was dumped for a robot, by a robot. So he's, again, someone who's vehemently opposed to robosexuality because he is, in fact, a robosexual.
Her name wasn't Eunice. It was
Unit
Unit 47.
I like that the first robot capable of getting a boat loan.
Yeah.
Hasn't that been used before?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was a joke that got used in something.
Yeah, in A Clone of My Own, and with
Well, Professor says that he was with Unit 47 for 43 years.
Yeah, that's
he
an
was in a
interesting detail.
43-year relationship with a robot.
That's a long
It's
time.
a really long time. And at that point, I was like, when was he with Mom? Because he was with Mom a bunch of times. So was it like before
It's
Unit
actually-
47, during, after?
That's as long as I've been alive. That's how long the professor was with Unit 47. I mean, that's a good run. It's a good run. And then
It's a good run.
Then he got with Mom, I assume, before and or after with that. So I don't know what he got all like, you know.
Because Igner, we've established as of one of the movies, I don't remember which one now, is the professor's son.
But it's like that song that Cher sings, that, you know, there can be life after love.
Do you believe?
Do you believe in it?
Apparently we need to.
I can feel
professor
something
should.
inside me say,
When I feel things inside me, they don't talk. They just make horrible gestures. It's a bad situation.
well, George Takei was at the end of the debate hugging everyone in spirit, and now they're hugging me back. Oh my. Like, he just had to imagine in his head that anyone cared. He's in spirit hugging people.
I mean, that's just imaginary hugs. Those can be good. I feel like that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, just smile and eventually you'll be happy.
A smile's like a
Or just laugh
non-physical
and
hug,
eventually
right?
you'll be happy. Though at the end of it, it all just, I mean, like to wrap this up, it's just very abrupt.
Very,
Yeah.
very
it's
abrupt.
it's a silly
They're-
resolution.
Yeah, they're suddenly watching television at the Planet Express, and voters approved Proposition Infinity, and robosexual marriage became legal. And I just like Morbo's comment was, "What's next? Gay or robosexual marriage?" Like they didn't even establish that
Right.
after all of that rigmarole.
And, you know, then Bender calls off the wedding because Amy wants to be monogamous. But even that seems out of character for her. Like, it seems like, you know, like she was monogamous with Kif because that seems like what Kif would want. But I don't see that as being a core tenet of Amy's deal.
I don't know. Just because she's sex positive doesn't mean she doesn't want monogamy.
Well, this is true. Those things, they're not mutually exclusive.
You would think that, though, after it became approved, she would be less into it because it's...
That's
she
true,
likes
because it's
be-
not like
like
the bad
rebelling
boy
a
thing.
lot, yeah.
Well, here we go with our Grease ending of Kif requesting a Wailing Fungus song and dedicating it to Amy. Number 12, Shut Up and Love Me by Wailing Fungus, which, by the way, was it was Billy West.
Was that his actual band?
He was playing guitar and singing.
All right.
Wailing Fungus was in something else. It was
It
another
was
episode.
the episode with Beck.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where Bender becomes a folk musician?
Yes.
I mean, that's...
Bending in the wind.
Yes.
Then anyway, Kif's outside on standing on a against a motorcycle, his leather jacket on and sunglasses, and
Got a bad boy makeover.
yep, he Sandra Deed it and changed his look and attitude to please the other person in the relationship, and they ride off into the sunset.
Did you ever see Grease 2?
Yes.
Is it
Michelle Pfeiffer's in it.
Yeah, and some
Oh, I
weird
need
British
to.
guy.
And the guy that plays Rex
It's-
Manning from Empire Records.
It's not good, but
Is
Michelle
okay,
Pfeiffer's in it.
Yeah,
but is
I
but is
didn't know
Gre-
that.
okay? But I'd counter with, is Grease 1 good?
Depends on your
matters.
depends on who you are, what you like. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's a genius. Or do you like musicals? That's really
It's also like one of the lamest musicals.
yeah, it
It's
is.
certainly one of the most noteworthy.
It's
I get
like
I get songs from the movie stuck in my head all
I-
the time.
I know the
for
words
no
for
reason.
all of them.
Yeah.
I used to love Grease when I was a kid. I think if you're a kid, you can be super into Grease. I think there's like
Based on the fingerprints I see all over my house, that's true.
yuck.
Kids are filthy.
kids.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's kind of like how Hamilton's like the big musical going on right now in
It's
the
the
80s
Cats
when
of
Grease
our
came
days.
out. Yeah.
I-
Grease was
yeah.
big. Like,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have any sort of affinity for musicals at all. If I went through and kind of poked around in my brain, I could probably find a couple that was like, oh yeah, I like that a lot. But mostly, it's not my thing.
Grease is dumb, but it's noteworthy for its simplicity
It's
and
fun
its purity
and
and,
dumb.
its place that
yes.
it holds. In
And
the,
it's weird,
canon.
weird ending where the car takes off and flies into the sky.
Ooh,
like,
I don't remember that.
yeah, you don't remember.
No, I didn't know it went
Because-
back
yeah.
to Picture 2 at
Spoilers.
the end.
The,
Yes.
the theory is that Sandy died
dead the
and,
whole time,
and
yeah.
drowned while on summer vacation, and this is like
A hallucination.
And with
like
their relationships
Yeah.
going, they don't need
Is she a
roads.
ghost and John Travolta's a horse?
That's like the fan
He
theory.
does have a mouth
is
for it.
that it's the fan theory is that in the beginning when she says she nearly drowns and you know he
Yeah.
showed up splashing around and all that, she died, she drowned, and she's dead the whole time and like fantasizing going to school, and then at the end because she's like she like transforms herself and they get into the convertible and the Grease Lightning and they drive away for no reason from like the school end of the year carnival, and then
then they're in the sky.
then they're in the sky. Literally, the car takes off and they go, huh? Whoa! Like it happens.
Okay. So is the suggestion then that John Travolta molested her body too?
No.
no.
Okay.
It's just that she's dead and the whole thing is like her in
If only he
purgatory.
had
Why
learned.
does their fantasy have so many complications?
Like,
Like, what does Rizzo thinking she's pregnant have anything to do with it?
that bitch had it
Very
coming.
detailed. The devil's in the details.
Well,
Just
she
to
didn't
convince
have
herself.
it coming. It was Kanicki who used the condom he'd had in his wallet since he was 12. Okay, I see this.
Your Grease knowledge comes to the front.
Don't
here.
blame Rizzo, okay?
Oh God. Oh.
You and your cis white male bullshit.
Look, I've made sure that I would never inflict that on another woman again. I've got the medical receipts to prove it. Thank you for coming on the show, Joe.
Yeah, no problem.
Plug.
Yeah.
Plug.
What? So you are. We've had Dan Bernardi on previously,
Yeah.
and Michelle's done work in Aldous Mustache adjacent things, but you are
Very
also
much
an
so.
Aldous mustacher. A
Yeah.
mustachist.
Yeah.
What's the
A
what's the term?
mustache just in general, I think works.
And you got
just
one.
call it a mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a mustache too, Michelle.
Okay, yeah. Suppose.
He's he's like AM for short. You just like the AMs.
You know, I don't like that one.
I'm just throwing them out. I don't know.
We're spitballing here. We're
I'm
workshopping.
trying.
I'm part of the beard.
I'm trying to understand.
Yes, the beard is our extended family.
I'm part of the oldest beard.
But the current project is called Public Access.
Public Access 3000. Yeah, it's a gigantic sketch comedy show that we started shooting in November, wrapped a couple weeks ago. So now we're in post production. It's going to be about an hour's worth of sketch comedy content. That's all sorts of parody, genre parody. Lots of sci-fi stuff in there too. So I
Awesome.
think Futurama fans might get a kick of some of the sci-fi parody that we have going on.
Cool.
High concepts, ludicrous. So.
What about previously released stuff? Is that available out there?
Yeah, we have a YouTube page. It's Aldous Mustache. That's got a lot of our other stuff on that, or Facebook, Instagram.
It'll be
you
in
can
the-
follow us.
The link
show
will be
notes.
in the show notes.
Show notes.
Do you spell mustache with an O or not?
No O.
So it's there is an O in Aldous, and there is no O in
There's
mustache.
no O in mustache. Trust me, there's not a name you could have more problems with than Aldous Mustache.
Oh, I've been in bands where that can. I'll explain off mic. Oh, the joys of naming a band before the internet. Yeah. Anything else? Any sort of live events or anything that you guys are doing?
Nothing that we have locked right now. We're looking to do some stuff in the future. I've been talking to some of the comedy shows around here, trying to do some live stuff or show some of our film stuff there.
Lovely.
Nothing to announce just yet, but in the future, yeah, we're working harder than we ever have. So.
In the future, I'll announce when Public Access 3000 comes out, and
yeah.
maybe get some people at your premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red carpet. We could interview people on the red carpet.
It just has to be about fashion, though.
We could talk about anything but.
I'll talk
Anything
about
but-
anything but. Oh, you mean okay?
I mean, we have butt stuff covered on this show, but we can talk about butt stuff on the red carpet too. Honestly, I'll talk about butt stuff anytime you want. It's at home, at work, at play. It's all on the table. None of our butts are on this table right now, but give it a minute and I can clear it off. So thanks for listening, folks. Always a pleasure to have you on the other end of our voices. We can be reached at slurmcast.com, which has a list of all of our episodes, links to information associated with the show, like Aldous Mustache. It has links to our TeePublic shop where you can buy pretty awesome Futurama-themed T-shirts that we will get a percentage of when you buy it. You can email us at slurmcastpod@gmail.com. You can text or call us at 216-438-1077. You can find us on Facebook or on Twitter and Instagram at slurmcastpod. And it would be a fantastic thing if you went and rated and reviewed us in iTunes. If you get another 5 in, we'll have Michelle tell another crazy story about the Saddle Club and ghost horses and
I found
ghost
one.
things.
Found one.
Uh-oh. What the mystery of the what?
It was called Ghost Rider.
Could have told you that too.
Was
The-
Nicolas Cage in it? Because, oh my fucking God, that would have been the best kids book ever.
Google Books blurb about it says, when Lisa, Carol, and Stevie, by the way, Stevie is Stephanie, but she's a tomboy.
Oh.
When Lisa, Carol, and Stevie head west to the Bar None Ranch, they have a great time planning a Halloween party with their friend Kate and John, a Native American boy who works on the ranch. The Saddle Club is also thrilled when they get the chance to see a herd of wild horses, including the beautiful gray stallion that Kate wants to adopt. Then John tells the girls a mysterious Indian legend about a gray stallion and warns Kate to keep her distance from the one in the herd. Is John just playing a Halloween trick, or is Kate about to ride into danger? The Saddle Club is determined to find out. And on that note,
what is his name?
who?
John's name. You said something John.
No, just John.
John, the Native American boy
Kate
that
and
works
John.
at Ranch
Oh,
Bar None.
so you never brought up Kate again. You just said Kate and John. I thought it was like his name was Caton John.
Oh, no.
Kate and John.
Kate and John.
Like
I
that
want
guy
to know
hauling
what
oats.
Caton means. All right, call us and tell us about your ghost horse stories, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.